Well, hello. Welcome back to Tactical Tuesday with Johnny Tiger. The date is February 16, 2021. Very weird title for today's video, I know. But hey, what can I say? Sometimes when I name these videos nice and traditional, like 10 ways to break someone's arm or 10 ways of breaking someone's grip, we don't get a lot of view. But when we got weird looking titles like this one, we end up getting 3, 4, sometimes 10 times the amount of view that we would normally get. Hey, what can I say? We got to try to grow our viewer base as well. But it is somewhat relevant, today's title. Now, before I start talking about this today, let me first say that I'm not in any shape or form talking badly about wrestling or Brazilian Jiu Jitsu or any kind of grappling martial art. Anyone who know me would know that I have a lot of background in uh, martial art like that, judo, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and I use a very healthy mix of these styles in my own fighting style, no matter if it's sparring or in tournament or out there in a survival situation. So I have nothing but respect for these martial arts. However, today I'm going to talk a little bit about the whole idea surrounding choking. No matter if it's guillotine choke, rear naked choke, the traditional blood choke, trachea choke, the anaconda, any kind of choke. Okay, we're going to talk about that because whenever we come to the discussion of self-defense, and this is very prevalent, especially in self-defense for blind people. I hear people talk about, I'm going to use this, my jacket, I'm going to use my cane, I'm going to use this or that to choke them out if they attack me. I know how to choke people in 1,000 different ways, and I'm going to do it when in a self-defense situation. Well, today let's talk about that because honestly, for all intents and purposes, choking is not a very practical thing to do in self-defense of any situation. About the only time when choking is actually really useful outside of tournament, outside of sparring, is if your cousin or your uncle decide to get a bit rowdy with you at a family dinner or family gathering. Your drunk cousin, your drunk uncle decide to get it a bit rambunctious, and you want to be able to put them down in a civilized manner. You don't want to kick them in the groin. You don't want to smash their face in. So in these cases, you kind of want to go for that nice, neat, tidy armbar and neat guillotine choke to get them to cool down and tap out, and then everyone can go back to having fun. Those are about the only situation where choking can be really practical, and this is why. One of the biggest problem with choking is legality issue. Why is it a legality issue? Because legally, you can only claim self-defense if the person is either attacking you, attacking someone with you, or uh, have sufficient means to do you harm. And you can prove without shadow of a doubt that they mean to do you harm. And listen to my word in here because this is very important. Attacking, meaning to, which means they have to have the process started and is in the process of carrying it out. Why is that important? Why is that a big distinction? Because if someone come and swing a punch at my face, or if someone come and start swinging at me, someone come and try to grab me and wrestle me to the ground, and I do a very quick pop to the throat, okay, I can claim that self-defense, no problem, because they were in the process of attacking me when I popped them in the throat with the blade of my hand, when I hit them in the face with my elbow, when I smash their nose in with my forehead, when I bring my knee up into their groin, okay? While they are in the process of attacking me, everything like that is okay. But if someone come and start swinging at my face, and I do this quote judo throw, bring them down, and I get around them and throw my arm around their neck and start choking them, maybe the first couple of seconds you can count that as self-defense. After that couple of seconds, especially if there's camera, especially if there's bystander watching you, filming you on their camera, to the court, it's going to look like you are the aggressor because he is on the ground. He is no longer any danger to you, and you're down there choking him. Okay, so you run into a very tricky situation here. Do you continue to choke him? Because if you do, he's going to be able to sue the heck out of you. Do you let him go? Well, you don't really want to do that either, because you know that choking him for 2 or 3 seconds did not hurt him enough to take him out of the fight. So the moment you let go, he's going to swing at you again, and you have to try to get that choke on again. And every time you do that, you're wasting way more energy. It doesn't take him a lot of energy to throw a punch at your face. But it's, believe me, unless you're really, really good at it, it takes an awful lot of energy to get a good choke on a, a target that is not compliant, who might have friends waiting by nearby, who might have weapons on them. Okay, that's a lot of thrashing around on the hard concrete floor out there, getting dusty and dirty, sharp object on the ground. Just not a very good place to be. Okay, so that is why it's just a really bad idea to choke someone in a self-defense situation from a legality standpoint. Here is another problem where it's legality-wise, you're going to run into a situation. If someone come up to me and start swinging at my face, and then I do my cool judo throw and I slam him down to the ground and I get him in a headlock and I start cranking him back and he starts screaming, I give up, I give up, I give up. Again, I have to let go because every bystander at this point heard him say he gave up. Every bystander at this point have it on their camera. This guy says he gave up. So you have to let go. Again, you let go, you stand back, he get back on his feet, and suddenly he charges at you again. And now you have to do the whole thing again. Another cool judo throw, go down to the ground, grab him around the neck, and he starts screaming, I give up, I give up, I give up. Well, you got to let him go again. This is not going anywhere. You're wasting a lot of energy. And every time, I can bet you this, every time he come back at you, it's going to be twice as hard to bring him back down to choke him again. Because now he knows what to look for. Okay? Especially if you're dealing with someone who's big and strong, very muscular, maybe got some kind of training himself. Would you really want to take that kind of chance? You can't. Okay? A third problem where this runs your legality issue is you leave yourself open for being stabbed or having a weapon used on you without legal recourses. Let me explain this. If someone come and swing a punch at my head and hit me on the side of the head. And then I whip out my knife and drive it into him. I go to jail, okay? Because my action of pulling out this knife and stabbing him happened after he already hit me on the head with his fist. So this is not self-defense. This is revenge, okay? This is problematic. But if someone come up to me, grab me, wrestle me to the ground, get their hand or their arm around my neck and it's choking me, and they're choking me, and I pull out this knife and jab it into their stomach, I will still have to go to court, but the chance of me having to go to jail is very, very small, unless the guy's family has a really, really good lawyer. Because any kind of lawyer would be able to argue for me that he has the intention of killing me. That is why he was choking me. He was in the process of killing me. He was cutting off the supply of air, blood to my brain. I was in the process of getting killed. So me stabbing him, even fatally, was somewhat justified. The most I'm going to get is uh, like a bit of overuse of force, self-defense. Maybe they can try me for manslaughter, but that's very unlikely. So let's turn that around. Someone come up and start swinging punches at your face, and then you go in, grab them, and do this cool judo throw, slam them down to the ground. You follow them down, you crank their neck, you get your arm around the neck, you crank their head to one side. They suddenly pull out a knife and shank you in the belly. They don't have to go to jail. Because again, they can tell the court that you intended to kill them. That's why you were choking them, twisting their head around. They can say that they panicked because they thought their life was in danger. And you know, from anyone's cell phone, looking from the side, it would look like you were threatening their life if you were the one choking them. No matter if it's with your arm, with your cane, with your shirt, with your jacket, whatever. So for them to pull out a weapon and use it on you, you don't have any legal leg to stand on in this situation. So those are the three biggest reasons from the legality point of view why choking is just a really, really bad idea overall. Now, let's talk about practicality side of it. Because even from a practicality standpoint, choking someone is just a really bad idea in a fight, in a self-defense situation. And this is why. First, the time required to neutralize the threat is too long. Back in early days of Commando Krav Maga, when I first enrolled, we had this engagement rule that if you have to struggle with someone for more than 5 seconds, you've lost the fight. Okay, so you got to go in, pa pa pa, neutralize the threat, turn away, deal with the next set of threat, pa pa pa, and then turn around, deal with the other set of threat. You don't linger for more than 5 seconds on anybody. This is because we don't have an unlimited amount of energy. We don't have an unlimited amount of time, especially when you're scared, when you're angry, when you're excited, when you're fighting, you're being hit, you're doing hitting, a lot of that stuff. Okay, someone's trying to jump on your back, you have to deal with that. Someone's trying to grab your leg, you have to deal with that. Every second you spend lingering on a target, you're wasting a lot of energy. Okay? So there's no one in this world, unless you're like, you know, Horace Gracie, maybe. I don't know if Horace Gracie can do that. Probably can. But as far as I know, I don't know anyone who can choke someone out in 5 seconds. Okay? It's possible to kill someone by choking in 5 seconds. Okay? But it's not possible, and you definitely don't want to kill someone by choking, because again, remember the legality issue? You're not going to be able to uh, defend yourself in court when if that happens. Okay? So the average amount of time it would take to choke someone out, at least to the point where they're not functionally threatening, they're no longer a threat. The average time is about 20 seconds to 30 seconds. If the person is really big, very strong, your choke might be a little bit off because you're scared, uh, or the condition just not optimum. Let's say the person somehow get an arm between your choking arm and his throat, and you have to struggle a little bit to settle that choke in. You're going to turn into a 45 second, 1 minute struggle. So while you're down there struggling with this person, keep in mind we already say from the legality point of view, you look like the aggressor, you look like the bad guy when you're doing that. But let's say, okay, there's no one watching. You're fine. You're safe. There's no witness. Don't have to worry about that. What if this guy have friend? Do you really think that you will be down there rolling around with this guy for 20, 30 seconds, and his friend not going to jump in and stomp on your head? Okay, that is a problem. That is a really big problem. Do you really think? Okay, let's say friend is not an issue. How fast does it take for a person to extract a weapon? Well, depending on how trained they are, but not going to take more than 5 seconds. So any kind of person, and I have demonstrated this before. I told the story of me versus a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach using Krav Maga armed with a training knife. So I'm not going to recap that story here again, but uh, you know, even against someone who's bigger, stronger, and way more experience with Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, I was able to beat him every single time. Because as soon as he tried to settle a grip on me, I whip out the knife and go to work on him. Okay? It takes me maybe 1 second, probably less than that, to pull out a weapon. And when the person pull out a weapon at this close quarter, when you're busy trying to crank the person's head, when you're busy trying to pull the person's arm to the side, the person suddenly whip out a knife. You have nowhere to go. That is a very bad place to be. You have nowhere to go. Suddenly, you were winning the fight, and suddenly the tables turn. Suddenly, you're trying to get away from the guy because the guy has something sharp in their hand. Okay? So, choking, very bad idea, even from a practical standpoint. Another problem with choking from a practical standpoint, other than time, other than weapon, other than third party involvement, is the amount of energy this is going to take. For me to choke someone out, even if I got a perfect lock on the person's neck, let's say the person normal passes out in 20, 30 seconds, I have to keep this constant pressure on this lock for 20, 30 seconds. Okay? Which means I'm expending energy. I'm using energy for 30 seconds, 20 seconds. Okay? Versus, okay, versus if I just pop them in the throat with the edge of my hand, nice and hard, less than 1 second. Okay? Choking take over 20 seconds to incapacitate your attacker. A strike to the throat, less than 1 second, they're down and out for the count. Okay, do the math yourself. From energy point of view, choking doesn't figure. One last problem with choking in a practical sense is you have to account for the guy's nails. You have to account for the guy's teeth. So even though you might be super good at your guillotine chokes, your rear naked chokes, whatever, all it takes is that person getting the fingernail into your arm, into your face, they sink their teeth into your forearm, and suddenly your goal is no longer choking. Your goal is trying to get away from them. And the table is going to turn, and they become the attacker, the aggressor. They have the upper hand. Because now you're on the defensive. Now you're retreating. So, does that mean that we shouldn't be teaching people how to choke? Does that mean that it's not a good idea? And we should just forget about the whole thing? No. When I teach my self-defense group, I teach a lot about locks and chokes and throws and stuff like that. Even though I just mentioned that choking is a really bad idea in self-defense scenario, it is very important to learn how to do it um, for two reasons. Reason number one, you need to know how to choke to know how to not get choked. So you need to know how to apply a rear naked choke or a guillotine choke. You need to know what to look for. You need to know the feeling. So when someone does it to you, you know that, okay, someone just trying to do a rear naked choke. All I have to do is get my hand between their arm and my neck and pull down. Because that's what other people do to me to break my move. Someone tried to get me a guillotine choke. All I have to do is rush forward, grab their leg, and throw them over my shoulder. Because that's what other people do to me when I try to choke them. By learning how to choke, how to be choked, you are preparing yourself for if that was going to happen to you in a practical self-defense situation. So it's very important to learn how it's done. Now, reason number two is that there are times when you can use chokes, but you don't want to use it as a way to choke out the person. You don't want to use it as a way to finish the conflict. You don't want to use it as a means to your self-defense. You want to use your choking techniques as a bridge to something else. Let me explain this. Someone come up to me and start swinging punches at my head and start to try to kick me, okay? And I throw in that groin kick and they bend over, so I come forward, throw my arm over the back of their head. Now I get them in that nice, cool, tight guillotine choke that I'm very good at. This is where the uh, this is where the mentality is going to differ. Rather than me standing here choking him, cranking his neck for 20 seconds, hoping that it is going to go the way I want it to go. Once I secure this choke, I'm going to give a tight squeeze because that squeeze is going to force all the blood out of his face, his head, or all the blood will squeeze into his face, his eyes, his head. It's going to disorient him for that split second that I need to disorient him. So I'm not using this choke as a means to restrain. I'm using this choke as a means to hamper him to get myself in a better position. So once I lock in this guillotine choke, I'm going to give it a tight squeeze and then slam him down into the ground and step back and then pull out my self-defense tool. Wait for him to come back up. If he want round two, if you want to do round two, that's okay. I got my self-defense tool ready this time, right? Let's say someone come up to me and start attacking me, and I somehow am able to turn him around, get behind him, lock my arm around his throat for that very cool rear naked choke. I don't want to stand here and wait for him to pass out. Okay? From this position, I'm behind him. I'm going to again give him that very tight squeeze, one hard squeeze, like a okay, just to disorient him, just to hurt him a little bit. And then from this point, I'm going to work my right arm. I'm going to work my right arm free while settling my left arm over to where my right arm is. So I'm transferring his neck from my right arm over to my left arm. After that tight squeeze, okay, he should be struggling a little bit less for a couple of seconds because it hurts a lot when you have your neck squeezed like that. Okay, so I squeeze, transfer, pull out my self-defense tool, knife, whatever, settle it against his jugular vein, artery, whatever. Okay, now, and pretending there's a head in the crook of my arm here. Okay, I pull out my self-defense tool, knife, whatever. I'm going to place it into my left hand so the tip is just over his jugular. Okay, and this is when I say, just stay still. I don't want any trouble. Just stay very still. I don't want to hurt you. Stay there, okay, while I call the police. And I got him under control with one arm, other hand, pull the phone, call for 911. Okay? So I'm using chokes in self-defense, but I'm not using them as means to choke someone out. I'm using them as ways for me to bridge onto what I need to do in the end, whether it be a knockout, whether it be to get my self-defense tool out, or to get my phone out to call the police while keeping situation under control. Thank you for checking out today's Tactical Tuesday. We'll be back again tomorrow, Wisdom Wednesday. For now, have a good night.